You wake up on a wooden floor that smells like sweat and barley, and the first thing you hear is a man screaming in the room next door. Not pain, practice. Welcome to the ludus, Rome, 73 AD. 2 weeks ago, you were a farmer in Thrace. Now, your property. A merchant bought you for 400 sesterces, about the same price as a decent horse. Actually, slightly less than a decent horse. Horses are harder to replace. The man who owns this place is called a lanista. Think of him as your coach, your landlord, and your slave owner, all rolled into one extremely unpleasant package. He looks at you the way a butcher looks at livestock, not with cruelty exactly, but with arithmetic. Here's the math that should concern you. Training a gladiator costs roughly 2,000 sesterces. Feeding you, housing you, paying the doctors who stitch you back together, it adds up. You are an investment, and investments are protected until they stop paying off. Your first month is humiliation. You're a novitius, the lowest thing in the ludus. You train with a wooden sword called a rudis, heavier than a real blade, against a wooden post that never fights back. 6 hours a day. Your hands bleed. The post doesn't care. The food is weird, though. Actually, good weird. Barley porridge, beans, dried fruit, and a drink made from ash. Literally wood ash mixed into water. Sounds disgusting, right? Wrong. The ash drink is packed with calcium. Gladiators had stronger bones than Roman soldiers. Your owner doesn't feed you well because he likes you. He feeds you well because you're expensive to replace. Oh, and here's something the movies never tell you. Most gladiator fights didn't end in death. A dead gladiator is a wasted investment. Think of it more like professional boxing. Brutal, bloody, dangerous. But the goal is a show, not a funeral. About 1 in 5 fights ended in death, which means 4 out of 5 times you walk out. Those are better odds than crossing a Roman street, honestly. By month 3, you graduate from the post to sparring with actual humans. You're a tiro now, a trainee with a pulse. They assign you a type. You're built like a brick wall, so you become a murmillo. Heavy helmet, big rectangular shield, short sword. The crowd favorite. The action hero of the ancient world. Your first real fight is in a regional arena. Not the Colosseum, relax. A dusty oval in a town whose name you can't pronounce. The crowd is maybe 2,000. They smell like wine and garlic. You smell like fear. Your opponent is a retiarius, a net fighter. No helmet, light armor. He carries a trident and a weighted net, and he moves like water. You carry 50 pounds of gear and move like furniture. His job is to dance around you. Your job is to not let him. The fight lasts 4 minutes. You catch the net on your shield, step inside the trident's reach, and slam him with the boss of your shield. He goes down. The referee steps in. The crowd screams. Not for his death, for yours. They want to see you again. A dead gladiator is a canceled show. He lives. You live. You earn a palm branch and a small purse of coins. That night, for the first time in months, you sleep without dreaming about the wooden post. By your 10th fight, you have a name. Not your real one. The crowd gives you one. A stage name. Graffiti appears on walls in town. The Thracian bull. 10 fights, 10 victories. Women write love notes. Men bet their savings. You're still a slave. But you're a slave with fans. Here's where it gets strange. Roman gladiators were legally the lowest of the low. Infamous. The same category as prostitutes and actors. But socially? Rock stars. Gladiator sweat was bottled and sold as an aphrodisiac. Their blood was believed to cure epilepsy. People paid real money for the stuff. Yeah, the Romans were creative. You moved to the Ludus Magnus, the biggest gladiator school in Rome, right next to the Colosseum, connected by an underground tunnel. 2,000 fighters live here. The hierarchy is everything. Champions eat first, sleep in better rooms, and get actual beds instead of stone slabs. You are not a champion yet. You eat second and sleep on rock. But you climb. Fight 20, 25, 30. Each one a coin flip between glory and a shallow grave. The odds catch up with everyone. The question isn't whether you'll lose, it's when. And whether the crowd wants you alive afterward. And then, On the morning of your 30-second fight, the lanista calls you into his office. He puts a wooden sword on the table, a rudis, the symbol of freedom. He says a sponsor is willing to pay your price and set you free, if you agree to walk away from the arena forever. 32 fights, 112 scars, and now a wooden sword that says, you've paid your debt. You can leave, open a tavern, train recruits, marry someone who isn't betting on whether you survive Tuesday. Or, you can slide the rudis back across the table, sign a new contract as a free volunteer, an octorotus, and keep fighting. Better pay, celebrity status, the Colosseum itself. But no wooden sword ever comes twice. So here it is. 2 roads on a stone table. Path A, push the rudis away and stay in the arena. Fight for glory, for the roar, for the only thing you've ever been great at. Path B, take the rudis and walk into a life where nobody knows your name and nobody tries to kill you on Tuesdays. Which would you choose? Type it in the comments right now and see if you still agree with yourself by the end of this video. You push the rudis back. The lanista grins. He already had the contract ready. You sign away your freedom, voluntarily this time, and become the rarest thing in Rome, a free man who chose the cage. Your first fight in the Colosseum is nothing like the provincial arenas. 50,000 people. The sound hits you like a physical force, a wall of noise that vibrates in your teeth. The sand under your feet has been raked over the blood of the morning's animal hunts. You can smell the iron. You win. Of course you win. You're the Thracian bull, and this crowd paid to see a show. The emperor himself gives the thumbs up. Not for your life, for your performance. That's a distinction you learn fast. The money is real now. After each fight, a cut goes to the lanista, but your share grows. You buy a small apartment in the Subura district. You eat meat instead of barley. A senator's wife sends you gifts through a servant. You're still legally infamous, lower than a gravedigger. But the gravedigger can't afford perfume. By fight 40, you're a primus palace, the top rank, the first post. New recruits look at you like you're something between a god and a math problem they can't solve. You train the ones who remind you of yourself. Scared, angry, built like walls. But here's the thing about the arena nobody tells you. It's not the losing that destroys you. It's the winning. Every victory makes the crowd expect more. They want harder fights, stranger matchups, riskier odds. You become a hostage to your own legend. Fight 48. A Wednesday afternoon in the Colosseum. Your opponent is young, fast, and desperate. A condemned prisoner with nothing to lose. You're 40, slow, and carrying the weight of every scar you've ever earned. The fight goes long. Too long. He catches you clean across the thigh. You go down. The sand is warm and wet. The Colosseum goes quiet. 50,000 people holding one breath. You raise your finger. Missio. Mercy. You look up at the Emperor's box, and for the first time in 48 fights, the decision isn't yours. Thumbs up. You live. But the crowd's silence told you everything. They were ready to let you go. The legend has an expiration date, and you just read yours. You fight twice more. Small arenas, easy opponents. The lanista is sheltering you, protecting his investment for one last big show. But the shows keep getting harder to survive, and the scars keep getting harder to sleep through. Fight 50. A festival day. A packed Colosseum. Your opponent is another champion. A secutor with arms like bridge cables and a helmet that makes him look like a fish made of iron. The fight is beautiful. The crowd knows it. You know it. And somewhere in the 3rd minute, when his blade slides past your shield and finds the space between your ribs, you know something else too. This is the last one. You don't raise your finger this time. You don't ask for mercy. You fall into the sand you've bled on 100 times. And the last thing you hear is 50,000 people chanting a name that was never really yours. So you win. Probably. But what if you'd taken the wood? What if you'd picked up that rudis, walked out of the ludus, and never looked back? Careful what you wish for. Freedom sounds like a sunrise. It feels more like unemployment. You take the rudis. You walk out of the ludus magnus with a wooden sword, a sack of coins, and absolutely no idea what a free man does on a Tuesday. For 9 years, someone else decided when you ate, slept, trained, and fought. Now you decide. And the silence is terrifying. You try the tavern thing. Turns out running a business requires skills they don't teach at swordpost school. The wine is bad. The customers are worse. A drunk legionary starts a fight. You break his arm out of reflex and spend a night in jail. Old habits, new consequences. So you go back to what you know, sort of. You become a trainer at a small ludus outside the city, teaching scared boys how to hold a shield, how to read a crowd, how to fall without dying. You're good at it, better than you expected. Turns out the thing you learned best in the arena wasn't how to fight. You marry a baker's daughter who thinks your scars are interesting rather than horrifying. She doesn't flinch when you sleep facing the door. She makes bread that tastes like the opposite of everything the ludus ever fed you. You have 2 sons. You teach them farming, not fighting. Twice a year, you hear the Colosseum roar from across the city. The sound carries on the wind, 50,000 voices compressed into a single animal note. Your hands close around an invisible sword. Your wife watches you listen and says nothing. The years turn. Your body heals in ways it was never allowed to in the ludus. The limp fades. The headaches stop. You discover that the world has colors you never noticed when every Tuesday was potentially your last. One evening, your son finds the rudis in a chest. He holds it up like a trophy. Were you really a gladiator? You look at the wooden sword, the one that set you free, and for a moment, you see the stone table, the Lannista's grin, and the tunnel that led to 50,000 screaming strangers. You take it gently, put it back in the chest, and say, I was something. Now, I'm something better. You die at 67, in a bed, holding a hand that knew your real name. They'd bury you under an olive tree, with the rudis and a loaf of bread, because your wife had a sense of humor. No crowd, no chant, no sand. And for the first time since Thrace, you are no one's property, and no one's entertainment. You'd take the wood again. So which path wins? Here's the brutal truth. Rome forgot both of you equally. The champion died in sand that was raked clean the next morning. The free man died under a tree that outlived him by 300 years. One was remembered for a season. The other wasn't remembered at all. But only one of them chose the forgetting. Today, the Colosseum is a ruin where tourists pay 12 euros to stand where you bled. They take selfies with men dressed as gladiators for tips. The sand is gone. The lions are bones. But the map hasn't changed. An empire still finds ways to make men fight while other men watch. You started as a farmer worth less than a horse. You ended worth 50,000 screams, or one woman's bread. And only one of those ever filled you up. So, did you push the rudis away, or did you take it? Check your comment from earlier. Did you survive your own choice? And if you think the arena was cruel, see you in your next life.